Okay, so I've knitted the 3 rows of stocking stitch, which you can see here after our rib section, and just to be clear, I'm knitting so with the right side facing me. So as I'm knitting here, the purl section is kind of facing that way and the stocking stitch is facing this way. I'm just going to show you, this is the last of the 3 rows in the pattern, and you're meant to do an increase there, so I'll just show you how to do that. Just going to scooch some of these round a bit to make that a bit easier to see. Okay, so I'm doing this knitting in the back and then knitting in the front of the same stitch. Okay, so if you can see that, what I've done is to take my needle and I've put it through the back of the stitch, just here. Okay, I'm just going to knit that as normal. That's my normal stitch, and then I just bring, instead of slipping that stitch off the needle, I'm going to bring the needle back through the front of that stitch. Okay, so I'll just show you that again. Okay, the stitch is there, just bringing that through. Okay, so knitting in the front and the back of that stitch to do the increase. It may not be what the pattern says, but in general I find that quite effective, and it's a very easy way to do the increase. Okay, and in this case it's not going to matter too much because it's going to be on the inside of the sleeve, so it's not going to be very visible. Okay, so I'm just scooching these loops around a little bit, like I showed you before, just to make it a bit easier to knit. So the next thing we need to do for this pattern is start the chart. Okay, and the pattern actually has this chart in Swedish. It generally doesn't matter. When you get sort of a third of the way up, there's a little arrow in the chart, and that just means increase 6 stitches over that round. And again, the next one, I think it's increase 9, but you can see the numbers in the pattern anyway. I did the translation on that. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to join in the white contrast yarn, which is what I'm using for the first bit of the pattern. You can obviously choose whatever yarns you want for this. I've chosen obviously navy blue, and I've got a lovely juicy sort of cherry red for the top part of the jumper and the main body of the jumper. Okay, but I'm using white for my first bit of contrast. So the pattern calls, in the chart you'll see there's 3 stitches of your contrast colour 1. Okay, so that's 3 there. So I'm starting that chart here where I've got my marker, and then I'm just going to tie in the first colour. So I'm literally just going to tie a knot around this yarn like this. Okay, a bit tricky. I'm going to tie a knot round. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail from this yarn, not too much, but just a bit so that I can easily weave it in, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is literally all I'm showing you now, is how to weave that colour in. Okay, so I've put my needle through, so I'm ready for that first stitch, and that's the first stitch. And the new colour, I've got my 2 colours over both my fingers, that's just how I choose to do it. I'm going to line this tail along and between those 2 needles. Okay, it just keeps it out of the way. I'm going to do my white stitch, pull that back round, and then slip the rest of the stitch off. Okay, and that just means that when I pull my blue round for my next set of stitches, it's just anchoring in that piece of white thread that I want to weave in. I'm just going to do that again, so I lift it up, put my blue over, and then I put my white down. Okay, and what you can see there, just dropped a stitch, easy to do, just a minute, let's pull that back. Oh, so tricky. Right, so what that does, I'll show you, you can now see that that white is being sort of pulled in and along. Okay, when you do it, you'll see it happening. It's not terribly clear when you see it on the video. Okay, and then push that yarn down, and again another stitch. I tend to do, apparently you can do up to 5 sort of carrying the yarn, the contrast yarn behind before you kind of loop them in. I don't like to do that because I don't like big loops behind my jumpers with little fingers going through the sleeves. So instead I probably loop it in every kind of 3 stitches. And by looping in, I mean, again, I'm putting that white, so the main white colour, over that needle there. I'm knitting my normal stitch in the normal way, and then I'm sliding that off. And so what I've done is to kind of wrap that blue thread around the white. It's kind of pulled it in at the back. Okay, right, I'm going to do another blue stitch, and again this little bit that's still sort of hanging down, I'm just moving it up and then I'm moving it down in between each stitch. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think it's 5 in between each, and then another white stitch. Okay, so let's just do a couple more of those. 3 blue, and the third blue I'm going to put that white round the needle again. Okay, and then I'm going to put the blue around the needle, so the white's ending up sort of wrapped around just like that. You can see that. Okay, and I'm just slipping that off. Okay, and it means that that is going to be trapped in, that white, with the next blue stitch I do. You can see that there. Okay, all right. There we go, and I'm just going to carry on doing that, building up the pattern slowly. And as you can see, I'm basically going to repeat that pattern all the way around there, and then when I get to this stitch marker, I'm obviously going to start the second row of that pattern. Okay, all right.